Sara.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna keep the mic up here. Hi, everyone. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Sara. I'm the same person that Brad was just referencing back there and talking about his awful Bobcat head story. And as was mentioned earlier, there is I came here with John Smith also. Woo! And storytelling does kind of run amidst our group of friends, so I have a story that I'm going to kind of tell. This is my first time ever doing anything like this, so bear with me. So, let's see. All right, so when I graduated high school, I made the smart and in no way charged with anxious panic decision to live at home and commute to school. This meant for me that instead of getting to meet new people and join clubs and make, new different sort of things happen in my life, or, learn firsthand what it's like to get drunk and black out in a stranger's house, I did the same stuff I'd been doing for about 4 or 5 years with my friends from high school. And that was it was like an extension of high school, essentially, instead of doing any sort of growing up. We grew up in Easton, Pennsylvania. Anybody here actually know what that side of? Okay, cool. All right, so Easton is not really known for much except crayons and nothing. Crayons, pretty much. So my friends and I very quickly realized when we finally gained the freedom of having a car and being able to drive ourselves around places that there was nothing to do where we lived unless you wanted to get really high and go harass people at TikTok. And if you don't know what TikTok is, it's the diner in Easton that severely regrets being 24 hours for most of its existence because of how many of people would go there and get high and play songs on loop and repeat and make everyone cry. So if you didn't want to do that, or you didn't want to go try and get somebody to buy you a beer at the local billiards while you played pool and drink underage, there just wasn't much going on. And I quickly realized with my friends that we needed something to kind of, reach out, get out somewhere else. Because the riskiest thing that I did at 19 years old was take a whole lot of caffeine pills trying to stay up late one night for an all-night Call of Cthulhu RPG. That was about it. That was my high point of riskiness. So, which really ended badly. I think it ended in caffeine-induced delirium rolling around on my floor because the all-night game that was supposed to happen got interrupted by all of my other friends getting really, really high and deciding not to play. So, yeah. So that was my level of risk-taking at 19 with caffeine pills. So, going to TikTok and, getting drunk at a billiards, not really my thing. So what we ended up doing is my friends and I, because gas was kind of cheap back then, we decided to drive. And these long drives that we went on were kind of like a friendship ritual. So we didn't really have a reason. We'd just get in the car, we'd go places, we'd find something to do, we'd stop for coffee, get donuts, whatever. And a lot of times we would just pick a road and drive as long as we could until we felt really, really lost. We didn't have GPS or smartphones or anything like that, so we would get panicked and turn around and go home. So finally, at one point, we discovered one road in particular that we really liked, and that was Route 611 North. We're not quite sure why we liked 611. It kind of started off short where we would go to this one little weird isolated park at night and hang out and children's swings like weirdos until the police kicked us out. And then, we would get back in the car, we'd drive a little further, we'd see how long we could speed around curves until we possibly crashed into somebody's rural house or got a ticket. And somewhere along the line, we realized that if you drove long enough into this sort of weird, uncharted territory, as was our theory, that you would end up at the Delaware Water Gap. And the Delaware Water Gap was kind of this big, eerie, dark, empty space at night, but it had all these cool little lookout points. And we kind of claimed one of these lookout points at our own. Now, there's some amazing things that happened for my friends and I. Thanks, Trade. There's some amazing things that happened for my friends and I while we were doing these drives. There'd be these deep bonding moments between my friends, Kate, and my friend Ashley, who couldn't be here tonight, and myself. And in retrospect, some of those moments that we had were probably really life-changing for us because we were young, we were kind of lost. We were either just going into college, just out of high school, still in our same hometown. And there's a lot of things that we can remember. So, things like jokes that we still have to this day from these trips, or songs that we can associate with screaming the lyrics so loud that we probably woke up people driving by at 75 miles an hour. Or, the time that my friend Kate almost killed us twice by driving on the wrong side of a divided highway when she swore that she knew it was the right side of the divided highway until a truck came at us. So all of that, all of those great things, all those meaningful things, only one thing, one story that we have that we particularly remember. It was summer. I was in my second year of college. 3 of us were making our evening trip as an excuse to talk about like college and sex and, you know, sit there and go about our like ongoing nerd game things and stuff, ramble about our characters for an hour and a half because that's what, you know, intelligent social people do, talk about pretend people instead of themselves. And we were all packed into my friend Kate's 2-door Ford Probe, which still to this day makes endless jokes about butts for us. And it was pretty late in the evening. It was maybe like 1:30 in the morning, and so we were already kind of hyped up, drinking our coffee, maybe taking some caffeine pills, you know, risky behavior, driving down the road. And we finally made it to the Water Gap, and we finally were kind of like, you know, we hadn't been pulled over, no tickets or anything, and we were almost to our lookout spot, which was a little alcove with minimal parking, and it had a little brick wall that overlooked one of the most beautiful parts of the Delaware Water Gap, which was the highway that goes in between them. So it had a nice starry night view, but really it was just a lot of cars. You couldn't see the river, but we really liked it. The brick wall is kind of what made it, because you could sit on it and think about how easy it would be to fall down. So we came in around the curve and slowed down to pull in, and we noticed something that kind of stuck out to us. There was a big, white, ominous, like child molester looking van sitting in there, which should have been a tip-off for us to just drive by, but we were kind of confused because nobody ever went to this lookout point. That was one of the reasons we liked it. No one was ever up there. So we kind of went in, we go to pull in, and before we could even voice anything, like, hey, what's the deal with the weird van sitting in there? We turn into the parking lot, and that's when we see the most glorious, unexpected thing that we could have gotten up there. We turn, and our headlights hit the wall, and there is just a man, completely naked, jumping over the wall with eyes as wide as like deer in headlights, staring at us full frontal, and starts running towards this van. No clothes, nothing in his hands. Followed by a woman who is trying to cover herself because the headlights are right on them. And she's trying to kind of crawl over the wall while holding her clothes against her like this, staring at us with like these eyes full of hate. And she's not moving nearly as fast as him. And so we sit for a moment, and I think we might have felt bad. Like there was like this second where we realized that we might have been invading in on a scene that could have been like meaningful or romantic or something like that. But any concern we had went right out the window when me in the back seat screamed at the top of my lungs, "Oh shit, they were fucking behind the wall!" And the windows were wide open. And so all 3 of us bust out laughing, and the headlights are still on them, and it's like it follows them as they make this terrible, sad run across the parking lot to the van. I'm still laughing, we're screaming, we're trying to figure out exactly what happened. And as they go and they start crawling into the van, the guy hops in, the lights go on, and he starts pulling away so fast that I think he almost left the woman he was with behind, which really probably would have just been the icing on her shit day, I'm pretty sure. So what made this even better was about 5 minutes after this happened, we're sitting in the car, we're sipping coffee, we're still laughing, we're going into like theories as to why they might have been there or what made them think that a smart move for like a hot, sexy night was to try and do it on the other side of a wall that was essentially a cliff face, that they could have fallen down and just like died in the middle of a highway, and nobody would have understood what was happening. And as this happens, a cop pulls up behind us. Perfect. Pulls him right behind our car. We're all laughing hysterically to the point where the windows were cracked open, but it was probably like steamed up in there. And this officer comes walking up, looking totally bored and sad about his job, and shines the flashlight in. And he just looks at us and in the most bored voice just goes, "Are you kids high?" And we start laughing even more. I start just laughing hysterically from the back of the car because my friend Kate, who's in the front seat, who had to roll down her window, goes, "No, officer, but if you were here 5 minutes earlier, there were 2 people doing it in the bushes over there. Is that legal?" And he just kind of sighs, like we just made something up at him. And after shining the flashlight in a little bit and kind of, you know, realizing that we didn't have a lot of like drugs in the backseat or something, he kind of reminds us it's 2 a.m. and the park is closed and says, Don't do any drugs, kids, now get out of here. So we turned around with just a sense of mild disappointment that we got kicked out of our favorite place. So since that was probably like 10 years ago at this point, and since then we've been back there pretty we went back there frequently for a couple of years, and these days gas is a lot more expensive, so we can't go on these therapeutic friendship rides anymore. And despite hope after hope, anytime we did go up there, we never saw anything this amazing ever again. Which is sad, because we really had a lot of questions for them. Sort of like, did you come here more often before we destroyed your sex lives? Or, how many other places have you had sex with that's outside on the other side of a brick wall? And could you recommend any? Because we figured they probably did this somewhere else in the park. But I think the most important part about this is that out of all the poignant moments I've had in my friendship, out of all the driving rituals we had, of all the meaningful conversations that me and my two best friends have had in all the years we've known each other, there is one memory that we will always recall as one of the most meaningful things that ever happened to the three of us. And that is scaring the literal fuck out of two strangers one night. Thank you.
Yeah!